How did some kids who had never played an instrument start their own band?
Where are kids doing experiments with the sun?
There it is. We got a cloud in the way.
What kind of ships did most pirates try to capture?
How do you think watching TV affects kids?
I don't think it affects me. It's just to enjoy yourself.
Some kids, when they watch, different programs, they go back to school and try to act like them. Like when I know a whole lot of kids in my class that watch Welcome Back Kotter, they come to this class and they try to act like Barbarito and them.
It's not a waste of time, but it isn't good for the younger kids, I say.
People really like studying the sun because it's always there and it's always in their mind. The sun will come up and they like to know what happens to it. Where does it come up? What happens on the surface? And why do these things happen?
You got it? Yeah. Here. You get the charts and I'll get it set up. All right. Gee, it's awful bright out there today.
In this solar telescope, what we use mostly is so we can get a look of the entire disk of the sun at one time to locate the positions of sunspots.
Wow, that's beautiful.
When you're looking at them, they look like tiny little dots, but people don't really realize that these little dots that you're looking at and, are straining to see are still much bigger than the Earth.
65 centimeters long. You got it, Lewis?
Yeah, I've got it.
I don't see anything.
Well, you gotta wait a minute. There's some clouds up there.
Okay.
The spectrograph we use, we reflect the sun's image by the mirrors outside through a small telescope in the opening outside. Then it goes through the spectrograph, and we have two prisms in there. It breaks the white light down into different colors of light. The colors in the spectrum are from purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. And we have infrared and ultraviolet. And you see all these lines going up and down along it. Those lines represent elements in the sun. People have always been interested in the sun for energy. We're trying to make energy from the heat we get from the sun.
Yeah, we did a good job.
Okay, this is sealed up pretty good up here.
This coil's all right.
Yeah, it's set up pretty good now. Let's check and see what's going on inside.
I'll check the temperature.
Okay, I'll check the diaphragm on the expansion tank.
It's running a little bit too high here, about 212.
No, actually, that's pretty good. I got this on pretty good.
Yeah, the pressure's running all right, I guess.
Yeah, let's see what's going on here.
125 over here.
Yeah, that's closed up pretty well.
Okay, come on.
Okay, and it's flowing through here.
The solar
Okay.
collectors uses the greenhouse effect with letting the light in. There's a black surface on the back, and on the black surface is copper tubing. And the water runs through the copper tubes and heats up. Temperature on a good day should be about 250 degrees, which is enough to heat a house pretty well.
About solar energy, I think, doesn't have much chance at the stage it is now. But I think that if kids, like, at our age, get into it, Who knows, maybe in the future we'll go to the sun and plug it in.
A piece of sugar cane is like a natural candy bar. It's harder to open, but once you get inside, it's good.
Years ago, down here in the South Carolina Low Country, almost every family had a sugarcane field just like this one. That's because almost all the sugar syrup used at the table came from this cane. And every year, after the field had been cut, there was a big sugar cane grinding to get the juice out of the cane for the syrup. Well, eventually, people started buying their syrup at the store. But for about the past 7 years, Mr. Archie Barker has been making his sugarcane syrup the old-fashioned way, with the help of his friends and old Charlie here. Come on, Charlie. Studio C came here to Oler, South Carolina to find out just how he does it. Mr. Barker, after the cane comes out of the field, what do you do with it to make it into syrup?
We stack it around the rollers where it's crushed, and come up, Charlie. And then we press the juice out of it until we get enough to fill an 80-gallon vat. And when we fill that 80-gallon vat, we put a good fire in and keep the fire going and cook it for about 3 hours. And until it gets to the right consistency to take up, and it's taken up in bottle while it's real hot. And that way you have all the flavor, canned flavor left in it. It makes it much more desirable and much more appetizing. And we run this mill with a mule that pulls the sweep round and round and turns the rollers, and Uncle John here comes every year and grinds it for me and helps with the mill, around the mill here. And then after we've cooked it in there, we label it and bottle it, of course, and then give it away to my friends. As it boils, that refuse comes to the top, that scum, and you dip that off, keep it dipped off real clean. If you don't, well, you haven't got clear syrup. You'll have cloudy syrup. And you need the syrup to be good and clear for it to be sweet and good to eat.
What do people do at a sugarcane grinding besides making sugarcane syrup?
Oh, well, a lot of times we roast potatoes and broil pork sausage and eat roasted peanut and just have a jolly good time, everybody. We have just about all the whole town and neighborhood around here, turns out. A lot of them from all over the county.
You know, you could go to the store and buy syrup a lot easier than you can make it here. How come you decided to start making it this old-fashioned way?
Well, just to bring back the idea of making syrup this way, and also just with the novelty of it, that we grow it and manufacture the syrup this way.
What do people around Oler think about this sugarcane grinding? What have you heard them say about it?
They seem to like it. They get out here. They seem to like it.
My grandpappy will make you laugh when you're down or sad or puzzled. He'll take out his shiny false teeth and show you his pink gums, and he will probably say, boo! When he gets mad, he's like a snapping turtle. His hair is like snow. His skin is like leather. His hands are like a newborn baby's. And when he gets up out of his old green rocking chair, his body is curved like a banana's. When you see him, he'll probably say, what's happening? And give you so much trouble. My granddaddy is hip.
Ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, yeah.
Poetry Power from Charles Roseborough, Rock Hill, South Carolina.
It seemed to disappear as fast as...
How would you feel if all the music in the world suddenly stopped?
I'd be mad.
I'd probably die.
I love music, and I listen to it every day, and I don't think I can get along without it.
I wouldn't like it at all, I don't think, because music is sort of like the background to everything. Everything you listen to, it all has music in it.
Yeah.
Jóvenes, buenas tardes. Vamos a...
Professor Pisano traveled from Mexico to work with the Mexican-American kids of farm workers in Homestead, Florida. He's teaching them a traditional Mexican folk music called mariachi. This is the only mariachi school in the United States, and Studio C was on hand for the band's first performance. Rudy Juarez is a leader in the community and one of the founders of the Mariachi Band. He served as Studio C's host while we were in Florida, and on occasion as our Spanish translator.
Mariachi music goes back many years. It's actually a traditional folkloric music that Mexican people enjoy and cherish. The mariachi music is a way of expression. It's really a music which is composed to express a feeling that is actually true, actual events, actual things that happened. And that's what mariachi music is all about.
Hola, Alfredo, hombre. A ti su tarde. Pasa a sentarte. Vamos a ver la canción de El Mariachi.
Se me hizo un poco tarde.
Bueno, pero viniste. A lo mejor.
Para empezar.
Vamos a...
Well, I decided to be in the mariachi because I like the Mexican music. I love it. When I was a little girl, I always liked to hear the Mexican music. I said, maybe someday, I'm gonna be able to play that music. I played the guitar, and I sang with my sister in the group.
The reason I joined the band is because I get in a lot of trouble in the street. I play the trumpet, guitar, and guitarron. My brother wanted to play the trumpet, but he had a lot of headache when he blows, so I play the trumpet now. I don't really like to play in front of the crowd because I get nervous sometimes.
One of the things that is that's very important, and that is that the kids, they themselves didn't realize that they could actually play an instrument. 9 or 10 months ago, none of them had ever had an instrument in their hand.
Rehearsals take a lot of time, but there's still a lot more work, like making costumes to get ready for a performance.
Petra lived near to my sister and I. Sometimes we go to her house to make our costumes.
I think that a lot of kids would want to be somewhat professional in something. The mariachi music, it has a lot of colorful costumes. For example, the charro costume with the big sombrero and the colorful costumes that they wear is something that is not seen in the United States.
We work in the fields on Saturdays and Sundays. Working in the fields is very hard.
When we go to work, you have to start about 6:30 in the morning, and it ends about 5 o'clock. When I pick in the fields, all I think is about the money. I use my money to help my family pay the rent and the light bill.
These kids go out to the fields every day when there's no school, and they go out and work just as hard as anybody else. And then they come out, and after they've worked for 8 or 9 hours, they come in and they put in their time trying to learn the mariachi music, which is a very hard music to learn. The mariachi school is an opportunity for migrant children to get out of the migrant stream. Mariachi music is something that the Mexican people say is in our hearts. Well, Fidel, like yourself, how do you feel being a part of the mariachi band? What do you think? How do you feel?
Well, I feel fantastic.
Yeah?
Someday I'll be a professional.
Someday you'll be a professional?
Yeah.
That's good. Actually, they're, in the fields, you don't make enough, and maybe your father, the reason he continues working is because he doesn't know anything else. But the fact is that there's nothing that you can learn in the fields.
That's the reason why we got school every day. Because we don't want to work the fields.
I don't blame you. It's very hard. That's how I was raised in the fields. My father was a farm worker all his life, and he died a farm worker. And I just feel that through music, I think there's a great opportunity to be exposed to a lot of things. Maybe someday we'll be selling records in the state of Florida and of mariachi music, instead of everybody having to send all the way to Mexico to get them. We will produce our own here through mariachi music.
She's a ship any trader was proud to own, or any pirate was proud to capture. Back when the main road was the ocean, the Adventure was the tractor-trailer of her day, carrying freight between the colonies. There are no fancy rooms on board. She's a working lady. But when the wind is right, she moves through the water like an aristocrat.
The topsail. It's going up to the very top of the mast. And this is a halyard. Put it through.
Since she was built 6 years ago, the Adventure has sailed from her home dock at Charlestown Landing only 2 or 3 times a year. Back during the 17th century, a crew of 5 people plus the captain would have manned the ship's 5 sails. But Charleston Harbor is a busier place today, and Captain Bennett asked some kids who were interested in the Adventure to come along to help him and First Mate Jack Mitchell and the other regular crew members.
Pull it in, and that's how we... Today is a perfect day for sailing the boat. We've got a good stiff breeze. It's not too strong where it's going to be dangerous. Yet on the other hand, because of the weight and the size of the boat, it's just right. Some of the things that we're going to do out here on the Adventure today, we'll be hauling the sails around, moving the sails as we come about, as we turn around. You'll see the action that takes place just as the boat was being sailed. A boat like this had been sailed 300 years ago. And the way in which we handle the boat is virtually exactly the same thing. Some of you will be assigned to handling some of the ropes, just as sailors in the early days would have been. And we'll have to more or less play it by ear, but you'll see things happening. Now, some of you all might have some questions about what's going on, so let's hear from you.
Did they have any form of Coast Guard back then?
Well, the Coast Guard was a different type of Coast Guard. They had a Coast Guard, but it was the British Coast Guard, and they wanted to keep other people from trading with the colonies. It was not our Coast Guard. They were not looking out for us. They were looking out for them, for the British, and they were trying to keep people from trading with the colonies other than the British merchants.
What type of cargo did this ship carry?
Generally speaking, it'd be products that were made in this country, barrels, certain foodstuffs, hides, different woods, materials that were brought here to the colonies, merchandise, clothing, different things that were needed here. And a lot of this boat was used for trading up and down the coast. It would maybe go from Jamaica to the Carolinas. It might even go on up to the New England area. But it was a coastal trade. It was not a ocean trade, although it was perfectly capable of going across the ocean, and many of them did.
How would they, you know, if there was a big storm,
I'm listening, go ahead.
how would you, if there was a big wave, how would you, manage to, take care of the...
Keep the boat from sinking and that sort of thing? Well, first of all, these holes, the cargo holes where the cargo was held, and the crews and things like that would all be covered over in such a way so that if the water came over the deck, it wouldn't go down into the boat. It would just wash out the side. If you look at the side of the boat, they're what we call scuppers, so that the water can run right on out. And the water would hit the deck and just flow back into the sea. But these holes would all be covered up so you couldn't get down, the hatches. And then, of course, you'd sit here and it would be blowing hard, and wind would be blowing, and waves breaking over, and you just hold tight.
Well, how would you, if it was really windy, how would you steer without the sail falling, this thing up there falling down?
Well, you would take a lot of the sails down. If it was very windy, you might even not have any sails up. But then you would have maybe just a few sails or some storm sails. And these things, the mast and poles, are all held strong enough with all the ropes so that they wouldn't fall down. They're not going to blow down. Who's got another question?
How did they decide whether the ship was seaworthy? I mean, did they just send it out on its journey or test it out in the lake?
Well, just as they didn't have all the scientific means of testing that we have now, but they would build the ships. They had designed them over the years just like this and built one after another. And a good shipwright would build the ship in a good manner. And they would know from the fact that previous ships just like it had sailed safely. We've got to come about now, so you all watch what we're going to do. And I'm going to just call these commands to the rest of the crew, and you all just watch. All right, stand by to come about. Helms a lee. Okay. All right, slack the jib. Let the jib ride it a little bit. Mainsail all, stand by on your mainsail. Ready on the jib? Ready on the jib. Take in the jib. All right. Slack the jib, slack the jib, slack the jib. Let it out, let it out. Let it out. There we go. Okay, in on this, in on this. In on it hard. Let's get it in tight. Take it back. You got it there? Slack off with the bow line. Okay, Tim, that's you. Looks good, looks good. Jack, you think we're making any or not?
A little bit, Craig. If we can keep that up, that'll go right on across.
You got to understand that this ship is a lot slower than most of the pirate ships because although theirs looked the same, it was kind of, they're the same size, but theirs were much faster than ours. We're talking about all these pirates. They sailed ships that were about this size and they looked about just like this, but they were a lot faster. They didn't have round bottoms like this one does. And they also seized ships like this. And they always, guys like Blackbeard and Stede Bonnet, who sailed together for a time, they never picked on anybody where, unless they had the advantage or things were at least equal. If you had the advantage over me and I was a pirate, I just wouldn't even mess around with you at all. And Blackbeard was only a pirate for a little less than 3 years, He was a fierce-looking man. He had this great, huge black beard, and he had this bushy beard, and he used to have it in pigtails with little red ribbons on the end of it. And whenever he would board somebody's ship to take the ship, he would put slow dynamite fuses in his beard and light them. And it made him look bad, you know.
When you're standing on the Adventure's wooden deck, feeling the salt spray hit your face and watching the wind fill up her sails, it's easy to understand why once, long ago, almost every boy and probably a lot of girls dreamed of pirates and treasures and the adventure of going to sea. It's still not a bad idea.
Alone is not just being by yourself. Alone is inside when you think no one cares, or when time seems to just stop on sad moments. Alone is when you write a poem and no one ever reads it. Alone is not just being by yourself.
Poetry Power from Kathy Abercrombie, Woodruff, South Carolina.
Did you know that all the poems and cartoons on Studio C are done by kids? We want your ideas too. Send them to Studio C, SC, ETV, Columbia, South Carolina, 29250. Take these letters to Studio C.
Major funding for this program was provided by public television stations. Additional support was provided by unrestricted general program grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Ford Foundation.